Hello, and welcome to another podcast on Rising Strong. This week, our guest is Denise Ann Willis. She is an author of a beautiful book called Your Journey to Healing. It's on loving yourself.
Judy, the actual name of the book is The Book on Loving Yourself.
The book on loving yourself. My apologies on that.
Okay.
Denise is going to, would you start by sharing just a little bit of your background, a little bit of your story, Denise? Because it is impressive. And we want to inspire these ladies that are listening to know they too can be strong.
Yes. That's one of the reasons I wrote the book, is I want women to know they're not alone. I've gone through this, many other women have gone through it, and it made us stronger in the end. So I have to say that in the beginning my mom was a good person, but she was very cold and very conditional love. And so I was raised to be a people pleaser if I was going to get any kind of attention. And that kind of worked out to where at some point men realized they could control me. And so I spent most of my life trying to please other people and being controlled. And unfortunately, through some of those relationships were abusive, actually physically and emotionally. And my mom, being a good person, when I told her I was being beaten, she sent me some magazines to my office about women that have fallen from or being pushed where they lost eyesight or they became paralyzed. And that really made me aware that, I could really, really get hurt. And I just think that women sometimes think we can love someone, and if we love them enough, they'll change. It doesn't work.
False.
That's true. And unfortunately, I just repeated pattern after pattern because I never learned. So at some point, with God's grace, I found a coach. It was a God moment. I was at a ladies' luncheon. She shows up, and she had just got certified, and she gave me her card, and I tucked it away, and I was having a really rough day at work one day, and I pulled it out and talked to her on the phone, and whatever she told me, I put it on my computer, and it stayed there for 3 years because I was ready to walk that day. But I had a really good position, and it was all male-dominated. She gave me some very wonderful insights, and through her, I grew so much. I learned what my value was. I learned integrity. I learned boundaries. I learned how to get. Some people had to go out of my life. I just couldn't keep them in anymore because they were using me. So it was a tremendous amount of life skills that she taught me that I hadn't really learned growing up. So she was. To this day, she's passed on, but she is the most precious thing to me. What a God gift.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So, where should we start to share with these ladies?
Well, one of the things that I went through, besides making the same mistake over and over, I finally got the help I needed, and I did the work. It was not easy. It was not easy to go in and review things that I had been taught for years. That was our, quote, family. This is the family dynamics. And it was like, wait a minute, I've believed that for 50 years. What do you mean? It's not real. So I know you know what I'm talking about, Judy. You have to grieve it and let it go and replace it with something that is true for you. So everybody can grow if you'll do the work, maybe find a mentor, a coach. The person that you need to love the most is yourself. Because when you love yourself, you can give more love away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not saying don't love the man upstairs, for sure, but here on the physical world, really, and women just give so much of themselves away, and they never refill that. It's kind of like an emotional bank account, but they go bankrupt because they're constantly taking care of the husband, the children, the job. So one of the things that I really learned was take care of myself. Do some self-care, affirmations, and some people think affirmations are just something you repeat over and over again, but they don't. They really do connect with the neural pathways in your brain, and they do change how your neural pathways and how you think about yourself. So they're very strong, and especially if you do them in the mirror with eye contact. So I learned a lot, and I just want to share with anybody that wants some help. I've helped several women that to this day they still rave about me like I did my coach, and that's what fills my heart, is knowing I helped someone. So
don't you think that for women, well, for anyone, that goes a lot back to the airline stewardess who stands up there with the oxygen mask and said, put your own mask on first so you don't pass out and you'll be able to help others. That's self-love in a nutshell.
Right. And
we've got to put that oxygen mask on.
Yeah. Our society makes it sound like it's selfish to put ourselves first, and it's not. Really, I always say, love yourself, fill your own cup, and you can serve from the overflow.
There you go.
You have more to give.
You can always make more.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if we don't take some in, now that we're starving ourselves.
Right. Well, one thing I want to go a little bit deeper into the story.
Yes.
Was even though I had the coach and she was fabulous and taught me so much, I ended up with a narcissist. That was my final relationship before I became more informed and learned to love myself. It took that to where I fell on my knees and said, God, what am I doing wrong? And I heard my spirit say, you're looking outside of yourself for love. So all those years, always looking outside for someone else to fill that. So anybody that knows anything about narcissists can easily relate, because they gaslight you, and no matter what you do, it's never enough. So I was very grateful that I was able to leave. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And at that point, I had to get a therapist. I was so messed up. I couldn't work for 3 years. I was so no confidence. I had let this person do a number on me for 6 years, and I lost myself. So with the help of the therapist, and actually I went out to, it's called the Meadows in Wickenburg, Arizona, and Pia Melody, who wrote the book on codependence, was running workshops out there. So they have the regular people that are on campus, and then those of us would be bussed over to the workshops. Fabulous work. Very intense. Yep. They know exactly what buttons to push because they have information from your therapist on your family of origin. So I remember at one point they gave me a bath, and they had a bale of hay that was wrapped with some kind of a some kind of canvas. And they were like, well, think about who you're mad at. And I was like, tap, tap, tap. And by the end of the session, I was slamming that bat. Just all of the stuff that had held inside finally got out. And I was able to really release a lot of things, which I had never allowed myself before to do that. Wow. So I was very grateful for the therapist.
That had to be very cathartic.
It was. In fact, when I went back the next day, some of the other classmates asked me if I was sore.
Yeah.
So you just don't give up, ladies. Whatever you do, just don't give up. If you have good friends, they're wonderful and they'll support you. But if you can find a coach or a mentor, you can move through things a little bit faster. Because we have the skills.
I think that coaches are a lot more accessible today than they were even 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. There's a lot more training, a lot more expansion on that. And we all specialize in different things. Mm-hmm. So there is help and support readily available. And most of it's done remote, so it's not like you have to drive all over the country or travel in order to get that help. You can do it from wherever your safe place is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know some women that have actually done some training with the camera off. They didn't want to be seen, but they benefited from it. So.
There you go. Yeah. That's always option. When we're doing these podcasts, I record them with the audio visual because then it allows us to put it on YouTube channel.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's why I do it that way. But I'll also strip the audio and we put it out there on all the podcast channels. So
wonderful. So I'll say one other thing on the book.
Yes.
I took a course on how to write a book. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, it was like, okay, well, what am I going to write about? And I thought, well, I guess my own life. And as I went through this process, it brought things back to me that I had forgotten. Some of them not real pleasant. But I chose to be very transparent in the book. I'm totally open. So it's to help other women just. It's like a little snapshot of what you can get with counseling. But the thing that really was wonderful at the end, right before it was to be published, it was in editing. I don't normally dream, but one night the Lord revealed to me something about my mother, because I was still having a hard time forgiving her, even with the therapist's help. But he revealed to me that I had forgotten. Mother had a child years before me that lived for 9 months and had a congenital heart disease and died. And so that made me realize, that's probably why she was somewhat cold. Mm-hmm. She was
afraid.
Yeah. So I was grateful it was still in editing. I just called him and said, you have to stop. I have to add that in that book. She deserves that. She deserves that. And you know what, Judy? That was like the last 2% that I was holding on to of unforgiveness, and it was gone. So,
that's good.
What a gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. The parents, as we know, as parents, there's no handbook. There's no guidebook. And we just have to make do with the best that we have to work with. And when we think about the strengths and weaknesses of our own parents, we forget to add that lens. Mm-hmm. We forget that they didn't have training or coaching or mentoring on how to be a parent. And neither did their parents, or their parents, or their parents. So we're generations of people stumbling along, doing the best we can. So I'm admire and respect the fact that you were able to look that last 2% and let it go.
Yeah, me too. Me too. And you know, my mom's mom was pretty cruel. She told my mother at one point that she liked my mom's sister better than my mom. So my mom had it rough.
Wow.
Yeah. So she did a better job, but as children, I think we always resist at some point until we get older and wiser, and then we're like, oh, I understand why they did some of the things they did.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah. But it takes experience that can only be attained by living. Mm-hmm. It takes that life experience in order to be able to see those things.
Right, and that's why the coach that I had, she was an older lady. She had a lot of wisdom, and I was very blessed to have her as my coach. We became very close friends, and she became like my mentor as well. So I was able to glean a lot of wisdom from her.
That's wonderful.
Very blessed. Yeah.
What else would you like to share?
Well, I'll share this as well. I did the healing, and I didn't work for many years until I could, because I had just lost every ounce of confidence. And I had had a very high position. I was a vice president at a company, so I went from being high to just crashing down. But little by little, I built myself up. And when I mention in this right here, it says develop personal power. For me, personal power was the Lord. Even though I knew him as a child, but as I went through this healing process, I really hung on and dug deeper and realized, how he sees me is precious in his eyes. He doesn't see the shame and the stuff that I did, wild child. Nope, all that's forgiven, and I can forgive myself as well. But there's one last chapter in the book, and it's about my cancer. I'm a breast cancer survivor. So I think my faith, more than anything, just carried me through that all the way through, and I've helped some other women that are going through this. Mm-hmm. And just again, I did not scare myself by going on the website and reading everything. I didn't. I just went to the appointments I had to have and stayed somewhat knowledgeable, but I didn't allow myself to go down that rabbit hole and get scared. So very, very blessed that I recovered very quickly, and I'm 4 years cancer free.
Good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm about 45 years cancer free.
Good for you. Yeah, good for you.
And it was breast cancer. Mm-hmm. So, and my grandmother had a breast removed when she was in her mid to late 40s. And she, of course, back then, there really weren't any treatments beyond the mastectomy. Mm-hmm. So, and she lived to 95.
Praise the Lord.
So I said, if Grandma can do it, I can do it. And that was the focus. So if you deal with anything with cancer, you've just got to find a way to get the light beyond. And then focus on that. And you just raised your survival rates way high.
Right. The attitude is so important.
It is.
Not just with the illnesses, but with everything that we do.
Exactly. Exactly. So this has been really great, but what else would you like to share?
Well, the other thing I'd like to share with ladies, and it's a simple thing, and that is speak words of encouragement and love to yourself. I know whenever I catch myself going, "Oh, Denise, you're so stupid," I'm like, nope, no, because that starts resonating in you, and it's not true. Words have a lot of power.
Yes, they do.
A lot of power. And the negative words have a lower frequency, and the higher words have a much higher frequency. And they not only build you up, but they can also build others up. So.
The power of the mind is absolutely incredible. And I always, one of the things I do with my clients is have them do a gratitude journal. Every day, find just 3 things that were good, that were positive. And it could be something as nice as a warm cup of tea.
Right.
Or that shower felt really great this morning.
Right.
So just focus on the positives, and the mind will start looking for other positives to add.
Absolutely.
How we talk to the brain is how it's going to work really hard to make us feel.
Right. Yep. So what we tell ourselves is what we generate. So
Exactly.
if we're saying negative things, we're going to attract negative things to us. So speaking of a gratitude journal, I've been keeping one for years.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love the fact when I go back and read it, there's miracles in there. I like to put that on the side with a star, because those are just reinforcement that the universe and God loves us, and that synchronicity happens all the time. Just have to believe it. And the gratitude journal too, also, if you ever get down a little bit and go back and read it, it also helps lift you up.
Absolutely. Because it helps you put it into real words. And those, by that action of putting it into words, is what empowers it. So whether you get verbal or whether you write it down, creating words will guide your path.
That's true. Yep. That's true. We have a lot more power than we think. We just don't realize that we can actually direct our lives.
Exactly.
I will say that there's a picture in the book. I don't have it marked, but when I first talked to my coach, I felt like a cat with a yarn ball. Doot, doot, doot. And that's really how I responded to life. I let life just shove me one way or the other. Didn't realize I had choices, that I could take directions, that I could set intentions. So praise her for all that she taught me. And I don't think I'm the only one that doesn't have a lot of life skills. There's a lot more we can learn.
I think you're right. It's parents sometimes don't know what they need to teach. And they may focus on what they felt was important and wish they had learned, but it may or may not fit us, depending on our personality, where we are in the family.
Right, true.
The whole thing is all interwoven.
Right.
All interwoven.
One of the things that I've noticed the most with the girls that I've worked with is they have a hard time with boundaries. And I did too when I first learned. I was like, I could really, I could say no, and I don't have to explain. But it's Judy, it's a way to protect yourself emotionally and physically. If you need to put out boundaries about someone being too close to your space or whatever, or you can't make a really rapid move at me because I maybe get triggered. That was me after I came out of that relationship where I was beaten. All somebody had to do is raise their hand, and I would just cringe. It took about a year to get over that. So
yes, I can see that.
Yeah.
So, in fact, a woman I was talking to a couple of weeks ago suggested that one of the things that is beneficial to women is when we feel ourselves getting triggered, that we pause and write down what was happening. Then when we feel ourselves getting calmed down and lower stress, our stress is dropped, what is the environment like then? And now you end up with a list of triggers and solutions.
And a lot of the triggers are what our body remembered at the time. So the situation may not be identical, but it may be similar, but your body's going to react the same way. So yes, taking that time to calm, name it, look at it, yes, that all helps.
It just gives a tool, data, information that we can then use to incorporate into the decision process.
Right. Yep. That's what I agree with you. I call them tools as well, because they come in handy, and we all need them. And the wiser you get, the older you get, the more tools you have.
That's very true. That's wonderful. I like that. The older you get, the more tools you have. So, where from here?
From here. I'm working with some women now, and I'm going to expand and do an outreach program for women in shelters, and also we have some sex traffic organizations here that I'm going to work with some women, starting with mentoring, and then maybe at some point be able to do some workshops for the girls.
That's important.
Yeah.
Help them get out of the trap, but it's more than just removing them from the trap. You've got to re-educate them, or they'll go right back into it.
Right. Well, and also build their self-esteem, their confidence.
Exactly.
A lot of them feel so much shame. It wasn't their fault.
No.
So my heart is to help women. My heart is to help women feel what I feel. I learned to love myself and my life. And luckily enough, since I did the work and was in a good spot, I attracted my husband, a good Christian man. I would never have been able to do that had I not raised myself up. And we have a wonderful marriage. And so I just want to pass it forward, play it forward.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is just wonderful.
Thank you. You do the same work, Judy. Thank you for what you do.
Yeah. We have little slightly different target audiences,
Right.
but the goal is the same, and that's supporting women and empowering them to be able to move forward with confidence and clarity.
Right.
So,
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So my target audience, as you know, is women that are coming out of toxic or narcissistic relationships. I just recently had a mother approach me to work with her daughter who is married to a narcissist. And I told her I really couldn't for two reasons. Number one, normally the wife is not going to leave. And number two, if the husband finds out, he's going to be upset. But it's like, I don't want to waste her time. And yes, I don't want to put myself in danger. But at the same time, being in a narcissistic relationship myself, I realized I could have had all the help and I would not have gotten out. I had to get out on my own by just reaching that horrible fall on your knees,
Right.
rock bottom. Yeah.
So in order to get help, first you have to recognize you need help, and you have to put yourself where you can get help.
Right.
And you may or may not be in that relationship, whether you've walked out the door or you want to walk out the door. You have to mentally make that decision before anyone else can help you. And then you've got to be the one to reach out.
Right.
You can't refer your child. Your child has to come to them and say, I need help, Mom. Where should I go?
Right.
Then Mom can give them the name of the coach or whoever it is that she knows. But we can't change an adult. They're not a child anymore.
No. And the only person we can change is ourselves.
That's true. That's very true.
When we change, people will react to us differently.
Mm-hmm.
But I spent all those years with all those relationships thinking I could change them.
Just doesn't work. Just doesn't work.
No. So it was a hard life, but I came out of it and I'm much stronger now. And I very much love my life, and I choose myself.
Well, I can see in your face the glow and the light of a woman that's happy with herself.
Thank you.
So it's a visible thing, and I congratulate you for taking the steps and doing the hard work, and celebrate that to the woman you've become. So kudos and much congratulations on
thank
that.
you. Thank you.
And I know that you're going to help a lot of women and girls make changes that will bring more joy and light to their lives.
That's my goal.
There you go. So, is there anything, final thoughts that you'd like to share, or any tips of wisdom that you'd like to offer a listener?
Well, we kind of went over some of them. Again, it is not selfish for self-care. So take a bubble bath, get out in nature, whatever works to recharge you, do that. And choose yourself. Again, it's not selfish. When your cup is full, you can serve from the overflow. You'll have plenty to give.
There you go.
That's choose you. Choose you.
Choose you. That's a great motto. Give yourself self-love.
Yes.
I'm going to thank you so much for joining me for this podcast and call. And I will be getting the podcast processed. And when it's ready to go, I will send it to you so you can share it with your followers. And we'll get the word out there to more women.
Yes. Judy, thank you again for the work you do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
This was fun.